Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the International Communications Filing System, Form 308, or as we call it, Subsystem 325, External Demo. I'm Jacob. I'm with the development team. Also with us here today is Kathleen Campbell. She's our point person at the FCC. I'd like to give her a chance to introduce herself as well.
Morning, everyone. Thanks for coming. Yes, I'm Kathleen Campbell, and I'm currently in charge of the ICFS system. Adrian McNeil will be taking over from me in September after I retire at the end of August. So those are names you might want to know if you have run into trouble in the future. We're going to demo the 325 application, and during this demo, if you have questions, you can type it into chat and we'll do our best to answer. If you have questions after the fact, you can send them to icfsdemo@fcc.gov and we will endeavor to answer them there. This is being recorded for future use, and Jacob will go over all this again. But it's going to be recorded and it's going to show up on the FCC YouTube channel, as well as be linked on the homepage and another page, the one you went to register, for future reference. It'll be around for a long while. So let us know if you have any questions.
All right, thank you, Kathleen. So, as she stated, I'm going to read you a statement on recording. This user demonstration will be recorded for future training usage. By attending, you agree to be recorded. If you prefer not to ask a question during the Q&A period, you may make use of the meeting chat. And we are going to have several question and answer stoppage points where Kathleen is going to answer any typed questions you might have. And you may also, if you have questions after the demo, email them to this email address right here, icfsdemo@fcc.gov. All right, and let me give an overview of the ICFS system and the 325 subsystem. So the International Communications Filing System is the electronic licensing and filing system for the Federal Communications Commission's Space Bureau and Office of International Affairs. So if you are looking for a license or an authorization to use any kind of international communications infrastructure, be that satellites, earth stations, submarine cables, whatever it might be, this is where you would go, the International Communications Filing System. And today, we're going to be going over the Section 325 subsystem, or also the Form 308. We kind of use these terms interchangeably. So all of the forms in this subsystem use the Form 308. And they all relate to Section 325C of the Communications Act of 1934. So you might hear me refer to it as the Form 325. That's kind of what we call it colloquially in the dev team, but just know that I'm referring to the Form 308 when I say that. And the purpose of the Form 308 is to apply for authority to locate, use, or maintain a studio in the United States for the purpose of supplying program material to a foreign radio or TV broadcast station whose signals are consistently received within the United States, or for an extension of existing authority. We have a list of forms down here. So first of all, we have our new authorization. So this is what you would fill out if you were applying for a brand new license. And pretty much all of these other forms will also use the Form 308, and they are dependent on or based on this new authorization form. So an amendment, if you wanted to file an amendment, you would have filed a new authorization first, and a special temporary authority also exists. You can apply for that using the 325 STA form. If you need just a special temporary authorization to use a particular license, again, that is based on the new authorization form. There's also transfer of control and assignment forms, in which parties can agree to transfer the authorization, control of the authorization, or reassign the authorization to a new party. And we're going to get into all of that as we go through our demo. And I want to go first over the process of registering with the FCC. Now, a lot of you are going to already be familiar with this, but nevertheless, I will read this off. ICFS users must be registered with the FCC and have an FCC username, password, and FCC registration number, or FRN, to log in and submit FCC filing requests. And you're going to use the following steps to register with the FCC. You're going to enter this URL into CORS to get into your CORS registration page. And then you're going to select register to open a new FCC account and follow the instructions in CORS. This is also where you're going to be able to create new FRNs or associate existing FRNs to your account. And for additional information about registering with the FCC, you can go to the FCC registration frequently asked questions page. All right, and for part one of our demo, we are going to be going over the general user interface. So we're going to go over saving as draft and submitting applications, the search bar and advanced search, the helpful links tab, and your My Inbox tab. So let me start with that real quick here. So the first thing I'm going to do is log into the system as if I were an external user. So first, you're going to enter the URL of the portal into your browser. It will be different from the URL I'm using right now. Looks like I'm already logged in, but let me log out so I can show you the process of logging in real quick. So let's go back to that URL. All right, and when you're unauthenticated, this is the page you're going to see. I'm going to go straight to logging in. All right, going to enter my CORS username and CORS password. These are the two that I supplied while creating my CORS account. All right, and here we are on our landing page or home page. Now, the first thing I want to show you, when you are filing a new application, the first place you're going to go to is this Start New Application tab. And here we have the ability to open any type of application in the ICFS subsystem, in the ICFS system. And since we're dealing with the Section 325 forms, this is where you would go to this Section 325 tab, and you can see all of the different forms are available to be filled out here. If I open a new authorization, and I enter any data into one of these fields, the moment that I save the form, a draft application is going to be created in the system. And any drafts you create, you're going to be able to find under My Filings tab, and you're going to be able to come back into them as many times as you want and make any changes you want to the application while it's in draft state. Once you have filled out all the required fields and you feel everything is ready, you will click this Review to Submit button, and you will be able to submit the application. The moment you submit the application, a couple of things happen. So first of all, the application becomes publicly viewable. And also, the FRN you enter as the applicant FRN. Oh, let me back up. Also, a call sign is generated for the application. So a call sign is
Not a
used.
call sign, Jacob, not a call sign.
Oh, not a call sign. Sorry, it's we call it the auth ID.
Right.
Right.
And the auth ID is an administrative number that we use to track any subsequent applications and link them together with this initial.
Correct. So yeah, an auth ID will be generated. Call sign is for a different subsystem. Sorry about that. But yes, and that auth ID will be inherited by any other applications that you create off of this initial license form. Yes, so any like amendments you create off of it or transfers, they're going to inherit this call sign as well. Also, it will go through an FCC review process before being approved or denied, and you will not be able to edit it directly anymore. In order to do that, you would have to submit an amendment or a modification, which I'm going to get into. So let's go back to our homepage. And I want to show you this right here is our quick search functionality. So you have the ability to search by these 6 parameters: file numbers, your call signs or auth IDs, FRNs, pleadings and comments, public notices, and company name. And you can use any of those to find existing public applications within the system. So really, any submitted filing in the system by you or by any other user is going to be findable on this screen. So also, we have down here our quick search tabs, and they are going to display recent public notices, recent filings submitted in the last 7 days, recent actions carried out in the last 7 days by FCC personnel, and recent pleadings and comments which were submitted in the last 7 days. And if we go to our advanced link, if we click that, we'll be able to go to our advanced search page. And here we have a lot more fields to filter our search on. And we also have the ability to filter for a specific subsystem. So we can filter for the 325 subsystem by clicking on that. And you can see we have the ability to search by means of transmission and also by station type when we select our 325 subsystem. And you can see here when I click search, basically every submitted application comes up. All right. Let me also show you the helpful links tab. So if you go to helpful links, then FAQ, there's a lot of useful information here. So we have our ICFS helpline, first of all, that you can call or you can email this email address, which I showed you before, if you're having any issues filling out an application. We also have this FCC fees link here, which you can use to find information about different fee codes. So you do have to supply information, like information on the application yourself about the fees that are going to be paid. So this could be a very useful link for you. All right, and then we have here the My Inbox tab. This is giving you basically system notifications about applications in the system. So, for example, if your FRN or if an FRN associated with your account has been basically named as a party to a particular application, you'll get a notification here. And there are other events that trigger a notification as well. All right, so that's pretty much it for the general user interface demo. Before I get into the demo of the 325 subsystem, I wanted to stop and allow Kathleen to answer any questions that have been submitted in chat.
There have been none. So
There haven't been any? Okay.
there's no chat.
Then let's get right into it. So I have in here in the My Filings tab, and by the way, this is where you go to find your draft applications and any applications you've already submitted. They're going to be organized by the application state. If it's in draft state, pending payments, pending review, or pending consummation, or if it is current, it's all going to be displayed here and organized that way. So let's go ahead and open our 325 new form. Right, and we're going to start with, when we're filling this out, the brief description field, which you can put any value you want. It's really just to make sure that you can find it in your My Filings and that it's distinguishable from the others. And our next field is going to be our applicant FRN field. The FRN that you enter in here, when you enter it, it will populate automatically all of these fields down here. That information is being populated essentially on course. So the moment you log into the ICFS system after creating a CORS account, all of the FRN information that you created in CORS is updated in the ICFS system. So ICFS now knows all of that stuff, and it will be able to basically link all of that information which was from CORS to your FRN, so that when you select an FRN here, that all gets populated. You can edit these fields on the form. So basically the contact information. The fields over here, such as the name of your individual or entity, and the street address, the city, those would have to be modified in CORS itself. You can't modify them on the actual form. Another thing to say about this is that when the application is submitted, the auth ID that gets generated is going to be automatically linked to your applicant FRN. So it's going to kind of belong to this FRN when it gets generated. And down here we have our contact FRN. You have the ability to check here if it is the same as the licensee FRN as your applicant FRN, and that will automatically populate everything. Or you can select a different one if it's a situation where, like, the applicant FRN belongs to an entity and the contact person is an individual who works for that corporation or is a legal representative or whatever else. the situation may be, and you can specify that relationship here. And question 3, we're getting into the fields that are specific to the Form 308. So first of all, it wants to know the legal identity of the applicant. So what type of um, applicant it is. So if it's an individual, then you're going to have to answer this question. Are you a citizen of the US? If it's a partnership, it's going to ask you if all partners are citizens of the US. And if it's a corporation, there's a lot more questions you have to answer down here. And you, first of all, have to answer under what state the corporation was organized, under the laws of what state or territory, and you can select any territory in or state in the US, Mexico, or Canada from this list. And basically all the questions down here that are specific to corporations kind of all have the same thrust. What is the relationship of the corporation to any foreign entity or foreign nationals? How much of the corporation is owned by foreign nationals, et cetera, et cetera. And if you are a government entity, there's really no extra questions you need to fill out. If it is an unincorporated association, then question 8 and the fields down here become relevant. So it's going to ask you the total number of members and the total number of members who are non-US citizens, and also to state the names, the nationalities, and the positions of any non-US citizens, officers, or directors. And if it's other, you specify. All right. And now we're going to move down to the fields that appear regardless of what selection you make there. So what is the applicant's principal business? And you can give a description there. And then also, if the applicant or any party to the application has any interest in or connection with an existing AM, FM, or TV broadcast station, or any application that is pending before the commission. So if you submitted any other application that's outstanding, you would attach an exhibit file and explain that. And then question 10, is the applicant a representative of an alien or foreign government? The answer is yes. You need to provide an explanation. Question 11 and A and B are asking you if the applicant has ever had an authorization revoked by the commission or by any court, and if the applicant has ever had an application denied by the commission or any other agency. So if you answer yes to either of those, you must provide an explanation here. And similarly, 12A and 12B asks if the applicant has been found guilty of any felony, and if the applicant has been found in violation of any laws relating to antitrust, unlawful monopoly, restraint of trade, unfair methods of competition. If the answer is yes to either of those, you must explain here. And here we have the contact information of the studio. So we're going to have the address of the studio here, from which the programs will originate, the telephone contact number, the email address, and also the ownership of any originating facilities. And down here on question 15, you're going to specify the means of transmission whereby programs will be delivered to foreign stations. So could be internet, private radio, common carrier radio, satellite, whatever it may be. And down here, you would list the call signs of all private transmitters. I'm sorry, should probably be all. Oh, well, the call signs of all private transmitters or auth IDs of any transmitters that are going to be used by the network.
Hey, Jacob, these actually are call signs. They're
Gotcha.
call signs of the facilities, not auth IDs. It's not call sign of the application.
Gotcha. Right. So call signs relate to actual physical facilities. Auth IDs are for like licenses that are intangible, I guess.
Well, these call signs are assigned by other people. Auth
Sure.
IDs are what we assign. Let's say we keep it straight.
Gotcha. Okay. Okay. And down here we have a list of options. So basically, you're going to list all of the AM, FM, and TV stations for which to which programs will be provided. So if you select one of these, any of these, basically a new table is going to appear, and you're going to be able to use these add buttons to add as many rows to these as you want. So it can be multiple. You can use 1, you can use 2, you can use 3. It doesn't matter. Yeah, you can fill out as many as you need. So let me show you real quickly one of these rows that I've already added for AM stations. So in order to edit a row, you can just click these pencils right here. You can delete a row by clicking that. If I click edit row, it's going to show me the form with all of my values in there. So you're going to enter the call sign of the station, the country, the city, the state, and then you're going to enter the coordinates for daytime and nighttime. And they have to be in this exact format in order to be accepted by the application. So I can't just like enter that. It'll throw an error at me. And also, you're going to supply your operating power at daytime and nighttime. And this has to be in a decimal format. You can't enter just an integer. So it'll do that to you. And also the name of the channel. All right, and the FM stations and TV stations forms are pretty much exactly the same. And yeah, you have to supply the location information, all of that. Also the coordinates in that degree, minute, second format that I showed you before. And then and anything that involves this kilowattage, again, has to be in decimal format. So yeah. Yep, that's it for that section. The next 3 questions, you're going to have to supply an exhibit attachment for each of these. So first of all, you need to provide a full explanation of the legal relationship between the applicant and those foreign stations involved, and a copy of the contract, if there is any, with the foreign stations. And for 18A and B, for 18A, you need to attach a statement as to whether the program deliveries will be intermittent or regularly scheduled, the average number of hours per day, per week, or month, during which the foreign stations involved will broadcast such programs. And for 18B, you need to provide a detailed description of the nature and character of this programming that you are going to be broadcasting and the language to be deployed. And then we have our general certification statements section. So the first certification is that the applicant is not subject, the applicant and no other party to the application is subject to a denial of federal benefits or FCC benefits in relation to the Anti-Drug Abuse Act. And also that all of the statements made in the application are true and correct, including the attachments, and made in good faith. And the next certification is the Equal Opportunity Employment Certification. So if the applicant is going to be using 5 or more full-time employees in relation to this operation, the applicant is certifying that it's also filing a Model EEO program report on FCC Form 396A in conjunction with this application. And here, the next couple of sections really appear on all the forms in ICFS. But here we have our application fees section. It just asks you if fees are applicable to you. If you answer no, you must supply a reason for the fee exemption. And if you answer yes, you're going to supply MBU as your fee code because that's the only one available. And the fee amount is going to be $400. Here we have the waiver section. So if the applicant is requesting a waiver from any of the commission's rules, it is here that you will enter in each of the rule numbers to which the applicant is requesting a waiver. And also here, the applicant must attach a supporting exhibit detailing the reasons why a waiver is being requested. Down here, we have our confidential treatment of attachments section. So if we select yes, we have the ability to mark an attachment as confidential. And whenever we do that, in addition to our confidential non-redacted version of the attachment, we must supply a public redacted version. And also a public version of the confidential treatment request and supporting statement. All right, and finally, we have our certification section. Oh, excuse me. This must be filled out by a party authorized to sign the application. And for more information on what constitutes a party authorized to sign, you can refer to the application instructions. And also, I want to note that if we leave any required fields blank, the form is going to tell us down here, and it's going to tell us exactly which fields we need to fill out. So we left number 5 blank, so I'm going to click on this, and it will take me right to that question. And let me see if I can spot the rest of the ones we're missing. Oh, let's get rid of these 2. I think that should be everything. No, 22A. Here we go. Let's select no on that one. Now I'm going to click review to submit once I'm ready to submit my application. And if I click that and there are still errors on the application, they will appear in a modal up here, but there are none. So I think it should let me proceed to submission. All right, and now I'm going to click submit. It's going to ask for confirmation. Click OK. All right, and here we are on our confirmation page. And yeah, we can view our application summary page by clicking on this link. And we can see the auth ID that was generated right here. That's important. And we also have the file number displayed right here. And if we need to print the form, we have this view form button available. Okay, and you're going to see the application view of your form. You're not going to be able to submit any changes you make to the fields after you've submitted, but you will be able to print the information this way. All right, so I'm going to go back to the ICFS homepage. And okay, before I get into the other forms and the other things you can do in here, I'll stop and give Kathleen a moment to answer any questions that have appeared in chat.
Well, I answered it in by replying in chat, but
Okay.
basically, search option, did I understand the pleadings and comments will only display for the last 7 days? Actually, it's just the recent pleadings and comments table that gets updated. And only shows the last 7 days. All the pleadings and comments are still in the system, and you can either look for the application they're associated with, or you can also search. So the search seems to be limited to the type of pleading it is. So it's a little limited, but it's there. That's all the thing.
Okay. So I will proceed to the next forms you can fill out. So if you need to make a change to a form after it has already been submitted, you won't be able to edit it directly, but you will be able to submit an amendment to the application. So if we open this right here, we're going to have the option to amend any 325 new applications that belong to us. And if we select one, what's going to happen is that basically a copy of the form is going to be created. And in that copy, we can make any edits we want. So I can add this here. And I guess that's all I'm going to change for now. Oh, and you do need to also supply an attachment with the form. But yeah, you can make any edits you want to an amendment, and you can submit the amendment. And what will happen is the amendment will go through a review process. And if it is granted, the changes you made to your amendment will be applied to your original application. So let me submit this real quick. And you can see here, we have an amendment with a separate filing number generated. It's going to inherit the call sign of its parent. And modifications work similarly, but modifications are what you would do if your application had already been approved and you had a current license and you wanted to still make a change after that point. I guess it works a little bit differently internally. When a modification is granted, that modification that you created becomes the current application, and that modification file number that you created when you submitted it, it also becomes your current application. The previous file number kind of goes into a closed state, but it's basically the same process. You also have the ability to fill out a renewal form if you want to renew an existing authorization. You have the option of filling out or applying for a special temporary authority for a particular auth ID generated by an application. So there might be several reasons for this. It might be related to a special circumstance like a disaster or something like that. And you can also here apply to have a special temporary authority renewed. And let me also quickly go through the process of transferring or reassigning an existing a 325 authorization. So I'm going to show you a 325 that ASG form that I've created for the purpose of demoing. All right, so this form basically has the most important fields here are going to be this applicant transfer FRN. So that's going to be the FRN of the current license holder. And also the transfer contact information. And then here, the applicant transferee, that's going to have, there you're going to enter the FRN of the party that you want to transfer this authorization to. And the rest of the form, and you're also going to supply a list of call signs that you want to transfer over to your transferee. And the rest of the form is pretty much the same as the form 325 new or the form 308 new. So essentially, when this form is submitted, it will go through a review process by the FCC. And when the FCC grants it, it will go into a state of pending consummation. And when it is in pending consummation, there's one more step. You must go into the system and consummate the application. And when it is consummated, these auth IDs will then, I think, be transferred in the system to the applicant or transferred. So let's go through. Oh, and I also want to explain real quick this signature section. So if you are associated, if your account in ICFS is associated with the FRN entered into either the applicant transferor field or the applicant transferee field, then you will have the ability to sign the corresponding signature area. So my FRN that I'm using right now as the applicant transferor FRN is associated with the account I'm logged in as. So basically, that's a long way of saying this FRN belongs to me. Therefore, I am able to sign the applicant transferor signature portion of the form. I'm not able to sign the applicant transferee signature portion of the form. So that portion of the form is going to be filled out by whoever has an account associated with this FRN. And that user will be able to see this application under their My Filings tab they'll be able to go in here and they'll be able to edit this part and only this part in order to sign the application. And once I have all of my required fields filled out, I'm going to be able to submit the application. Right, and now my 325 ASG has been submitted. It's going to go to a review process by the FCC. And when the internal review process is complete and your application has been granted, and your application is now in pending consummation status, you can go to this consummate action under the Actions tab, this consummate link, and it will have presented a list of all of the transfers and assignments in the system that belong to you. And your application will appear here in this list. You'll be able to select it and you'll be able to click consummate. There you would select a consummation date. So the date when in the past where the deal was finally finalized, I guess. And then once you do that, the transfer will be official. And it will be recognized in the system as well. All right. And let me also go through how to pay your filing fees. So there's going to be two ways to do this for an application. Number one, you can click on the Pay Filing Fees action. So here you can select one or multiple applications for which to pay filing fees. And you can click this Send to Cores button. And when you do that, all of the fee information for those applications will be sent to Cores. And when you log into your Cores account, you should be able to see that fee information associated with the applicant FRN in Cores. So your Cores account must be associated with the applicant FRN that was supplied for the application in order for you to be able to see the fee information in Cores. And once you do that also, a remittance ID is going to be supplied for the application or applications that you send to Cores, and which means they will then appear down in the list here. So let's see what happens when we click this. So first of all, a separate tab opens, which takes us to the Cores page, and we can log in here to see our payment information and initiate payments. And also a remittance ID has been supplied from Cores so that our applications now appear down here in the list of pending payment applications, which have a remittance ID. So yeah, that's how that part works. And let me also show you how to do it from here. So what you can also do is select your application from your My Filings page and click Pay in Cores. And it will do pretty much exactly the same thing. It will send the application payment information over to the Cores website, and Cores will then supply a remittance ID, which will be stored for the application in the system. Okay. And let's see. What else? What else haven't I covered here? I think we've actually covered pretty much everything I wanted to cover. I'll go ahead and stop and give Kathleen a moment to again answer any questions that have appeared in chat.
The only question that came in is about parties to sign and how they know when to sign and whether either party can submit. So my basic answer is when an FRN is included in the application, I believe they get a notification to go in, log in, and sign their portion of the ASG. Is that right? Something like that. But they have to sign it before it can be submitted, so there needs to be some coordination.
Correct.
But the subsequent parties, only the originating party will be able to submit the application. So once the other parties sign the whole thing, and if there's more than one signature required, everybody who needs to sign it, then the originating party would log in and submit the application.
So yeah, effectively then only the filer can submit the application, right?
Right. Yeah, that's
Okay.
my understanding of how it works.
Okay. Okay, and yes, so if you, as Kathleen was saying, if you name another party on a transfer or assignment application, they're going to get a notification in their My Inbox tab indicating that they need to fill out and sign the application or sign their portion of the application.
And that was the only question. If anyone else has any, chime on in. If not,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, if there's no more questions, then yeah, if you have any questions that you think of later, you can email us. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
Thanks
Have a great
everyone
day,
for
everyone.
coming.